everyone, and welcome to BookTrib's 15 Minutes with, a Merle Media production. Today we're thrilled to welcome author Dale Wiley. Dale's a Missouri attorney who, interestingly, has even had a CSI character named after him, so that's obviously something that everyone should know. And he's the author, actually, of the recently released Southern Gothic. You can find him at dalewiley.com. Welcome, Dale. Wonderful to have you today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. So I'm going to show you because we've got the book, and I think you have the book there too, right? We've got Southern Gothic.
This is what you want to go get, and it comes out tomorrow.
Yes. So. Well, comes out tomorrow. Tomorrow.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Wink, it's already out.
Oh, what I meant to say is it's already out.
So let's first start chatting about Southern Gothic. I'd love to know all about it. Tell me kind of about the book, the characters we're meeting, where we're at.
Okay, Southern Gothic is the story of Meredith Harper. She owns this very successful bookstore and cafe in Savannah. And it's doing very well, but she has this novel that never got published. It's called Red Ribbon, and it kind of haunts her. And so one day, an author who was her favorite author and she thought was dead, she sent him a copy of the manuscript years before. He shows up with a rewritten version of that book, but he tells her, I like being hidden. I like being gone. I like nobody knowing where we are. So if you're going to publish this, you've got to publish it under your name. Yeah. And it's got all the characters and the elements that she liked and the haunted mansions and all those types of things. But it just seems, a little odd, but she kind of falls in love with this man and falls in love with the book. And she decides to publish it, and she has no idea what is hidden inside.
Oh, interesting. Can you talk a little bit about what inspired the novel for you?
Well, I needed something to work on after I had worked on my second book, Sabotage, and that was about ready to come out. And my new agent said, well, what are you writing about next? And I thought, oh my gosh, I don't even know. So I went on vacation all week looking for ideas, had nothing. And then I was coming back home through Memphis, and I was with my kids, and they were in the pool. And I looked, and there was this little street light over on the corner of a building. And it just transported me to Savannah. Yeah. And I thought, that'd be fun to work on, kind of a book you'd like to read, and, a book that I would have liked to have read. And then I pulled some other elements in, and pretty happy with the results.
Absolutely. So explain, you talked about it a little, but as far as the setup of the novel, because you talked about a manuscript, and what you do is you alternate chapters. Is that correct?
Yeah, the book is in 3 sections. The first section alternates between the novel about Meredith and Michael, the author, and then the Red Ribbon manuscript. And that kind of ends with her deciding to publish it. And then sections 2 and sections 3 are about her fame and what happens after she makes this very interesting decision.
Okay. So what about writing it, your writing process? Did you come across any difficulty, or was it tough keeping it separate as you wove the story together?
It really wasn't difficult in terms of that. I mean, I guess that anybody kind of looks at something like this and decides whether it's difficult or not. But the book moved very quickly, and I had a rough draft in about 3 months from when I started. Wow. And then, of course, going back and editing, and I had a wonderful editor, Emma Pulitzer. But the editing is kind of the more interesting process, and she did a great job of bringing out some elements that weren't there, before. So
interesting.
So, I didn't feel like, I started writing on this in June of 2015, and we were done with the editing right around the beginning of summer of this year.
Okay. So what about you? You have a pretty interesting ghost story in the book
Yeah.
that actually has to do with Anderson Cooper. Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Tell the readers about it a little bit.
Okay. Well, the story um, centers around this house, and it really is in the middle of the trees in Georgia. It's in a little town called Jewell, Georgia, and it's actually it's a real place, and it was built prior to the Civil War. Well prior to the Civil War,
Hmm.
1820s is when it was built, and it was actually in my family. And I had been down there before, have some cool pictures of when I was a little kid and that sort of thing. And I thought that I had this kind of ghost story idea previously set in Missouri, and I just thought that it would be interesting to go ahead and set it in Georgia and have it basically have it kind of inhabit this place. So after I started writing it, and very end of the process, I end up finding out that the Northern general who lived in the house and saved it from being burned like most of the houses were on the Sherman's Path to Georgia, his name was um, Judson Kilpatrick, and he's the great great grandfather of Anderson Cooper, the great grandfather of Gloria Vanderbilt, and then her son is Anderson Cooper. So,
Right.
uh, ended up getting involved in that, but really had no idea that that was coming.
Oh my goodness, how cool. And for the next cool thing that we get to talk about, because I have to know about this, the CSI Connection. Tell me all about it. How did this happen for you? You have a character named after you on CSI. How did it happen?
Well, it happened a lot more haphazard than you might expect. But I have a good friend, Phil Conserva, who was a producer and a director on CSI, and then he has since gone on to work on other projects. And actually, we're working now on, a couple of things that we can't yet discuss, but
Okay.
some of Southern Gothic. And so Phil was just a really fun, good guy. We were working on some biodiesel projects at the time, and we actually um, went so far as to be able to kind of supply CSI with biodiesel.
Hmm.
So they were very much looking for some logos to put in the episode to cover up all the hard alcohol and things they couldn't do. So they put all of our logos in it. And then he asked me for a musical recommendation for somebody that could play a honky tonk because I ran a record label.
Mm-hmm.
And so I mentioned Shooter Jennings. So, Shooter, if you're out there, you owe your CSI appearance to me. You don't know it, but you do. And so then he just kept looking at me and he kept saying the Dale Wiley episode. And I thought he just meant because of all the stuff that we'd been involved in.
Right.
And then you're watching the episode. It's episode 11 of season 8, and you're watching it, and it comes up, and it's and I'm a bull rider, and I mean, it's just somebody that they inserted my name in for
Right.
whoever's name was the original bull rider. So that's how it happened.
Amazing. And you, I mean, you really do have such a busy career. You're an attorney in Missouri. How do you find the time to write? How did you find the time to really sit down and make this novel happen for yourself? What would you say to the busy, people out there that are trying to do the same and just don't know where to start?
Well, I would say stop telling yourself you don't have time, because in about 2012, when I kind of restarted my thinking about writing and that sort of thing, I
Mm,
found out that if I just cut out some of the Facebook scrolling and this, that, and the other, I had
mm-hmm.
time to write it. And I do admit I'm a little bit blessed in that I tend to write very quickly, and so I don't have to sit there and work on a paragraph all night or anything
Yeah.
like that. But what I would just say is you are lying to yourself if you tell yourself you don't have time. You have time 15, 20, 30 minutes a day to put together something. It's more about just sticking with it and just not letting yourself off the hook so easily.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you, as you mentioned quickly, you just kind of glossed over because as if you don't have enough time in your day. You're also pretty involved in the music industry. You have your own record
Oh,
company?
that was a long time ago. I mean,
Okay, so we
I
don't
really,
have that anymore.
I haven't done that for a long time, but music is always involved in anything that I do. There's a wonderful place in St. Louis called the Wood. It's a guy named Rick Wood. It's his house, and he has an amazing house concert series. And we just this weekend we combined some of the old records that I'm really proud of. We combined that with a reading of the book, and that was really fun. So
Oh,
that, and in terms of kind of some of the projects we've done about thinking about hopefully getting some movie and TV mojo. It's very fun for me to start thinking about the obscure records that I've spent my life
right.
listening to, thinking, oh, that would be interesting, and nobody's heard that, and so that's a lot of fun.
Right, right. And now, what about the next step? Southern Gothic is out, and you're kind of getting that out there and talking to everyone about it. But what about what's next? Do you have a new story coming down the pike? A new
I'm
books?
I'm working on this idea that I've had for some time about um, taking the what do we call it? The exciting or the fun ideas of a Dan Brown or some kind of
Yep.
novel like that, and putting it in a much more rural setting.
Okay.
And so I call it my Dan Brown Missouri Meth novel. So I'm trying to combine kind of the historical facts of that sort of endeavor with maybe a totally different look at America and some things that people don't normally get to see. So I'm writing on that a little bit this weekend because been talking to so many people about this book and so many people that have read my stuff for years. It's kind of given me some ideas to take a little more license and have some more fun. So
Okay.
with that, and then we are working on the TV projects too, and cross your fingers on that stuff. So
Fingers crossed. That sounds so much fun.
yeah.
So, what about book signings coming up? Things where friends, family, readers, fans, anyone can come out and get a book signed, meet you, talk with you.
Well, we've got an event on the 24th in Kansas City. That is at the Zona Rosa Barnes and Noble from
Okay.
4 to 6. The 25th in St. Louis from 4 to 6, and that is at the West County
Okay.
Barnes and Noble. It's the West County Mall, so it's easy to find. The 26th, I'm doing a signing at Avid Bookshop in Athens, Georgia,
Okay.
from 6:30 to 7:30. Um, the the next day I don't have a signing, although there'll be a TV appearance in Savannah, and then in Savannah on Saturday, the 28th, there'll be a signing at the E. Shaver Booksellers in downtown Savannah. Sunday, Barnes and Noble, 2 to 4 p.m. at the Augusta Mall, Barnes and Noble. Monday at the Cross, I believe it's called. I need to look that up, but it's one of the Atlanta Barnes and Nobles.
Okay. And you probably
And
have all of this on your site or
got a website, Facebook,
great.
everything else. And then Monday, another Barnes and Noble in Collierville, Tennessee, which is in basically Memphis.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So plenty of chances for friends or readers or fans or anyone and everyone to kind of come
All
down
of the
your way.
above.
Good. What about for you as a reader? Are you reading anyone in particular? Have some favorite authors out there?
You know, it's kind of funny because my process has changed a little bit as I've kind of gotten more back into the writing instead of the reading. But I still love to find time to do that. I love any of the hard-boiled detective stuff. I'm reading Ross McDonald right now. Read John McDonald, spelled differently just before that. And then my all-time favorite is Raymond Chandler. To me,
Oh,
he's the best there is. I like to read fun stuff like Kinky Friedman and people like that. I love Michael Connelly. So I love Catherine Neville, who's another one of I believe you know her. I mean, she's just one of my favorites. So
Yeah.
I tend to stay in those kind of areas, but that's kind of the stuff that I really like.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Dale, we can't thank you enough for spending some time with us today and talking about Southern Gothic.
Anytime. Okay, great. Thanks.
Absolutely. Well, everyone, go grab Southern Gothic. It is out now. You can get it in hardcover. And we, hope to do this again soon. And we can't wait to see what's coming up next for you, Dale.
All right.